Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or are seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol.
Welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Peniston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Prisco, physician assistant. All right, we are ready with some fancy drinks.
We are. Well, you have a fancy drink. I just have wine, but it's the sparkling peach wine that we talked about a couple episodes ago. So.
Ooh, from the winery. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to give the first intro because our drink is sort of the star of the show today. We have mixologist extraordinaire Tami Espinosa, otherwise known as Tam on, I believe, TikTok, and Juniper for Joy on Instagram. I'll link everything in the show notes. I happenstance to meet her when I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I did a tasting at Tennessee Shine, Moonshine, and she was so much fun. I was like, we need to do something with you. She just had a ton of personality and made it so much fun. So she crafted our cocktail, and the recipe video made by her will be on all of our socials, as well as the actual written recipe and some pictures. So the name of the cocktail that she gave it is a little different than what our episode name is going to be for me. So she named it Houdini's Watermelon Wonderland. And then I named it the Codeine Martini. But now that I realize Houdini, I could have just made it that, but I didn't. My brain didn't put that. It rhymed together.
You were too focused on the Sizzurp.
I was. So this is a fun color change cocktail, which I had to experiment with to get it right. And mine's still not as pretty as hers. So you use that butterfly pea flower, which you had mentioned in one of our first episodes, and I didn't know what it was. And
I tried it first at a tea house where they made tea out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't tasted it separately. I've brewed the tea and it's in the drink, but I haven't tasted it on its own. But the trick with that, it's very blue, deep indigo blue. And when you add it to any citrus, it turns purple. And then you kind of like play with the amount of citrus and the butterfly pea. It could be a more vibrant pinky or more of a purpley. So let's get the drink recipe going. So the big star of this is the actual from Tennessee Shine, and this is where the Houdini comes from. So their Houdini is this blue sort of fruit punch raspberry flavored moonshine, and they call it the panty dropper. And I understand why, because I had to
lose your panties?
Not quite, but as I was like, oh no, like it's too many ounces for the cup I chose, and I already went too far, so I was just sipping on that at the bottom of the glass, like on its own, and you could just drink that straight. Pretty much.
Oh.
Like but it's moonshine. So I understand. So the Houdini.
Now I'm curious. You have to send me some.
So the blue, well, you have to order it. I ordered one jar because they have it online. They're online and they're in store. Their stores are mostly in Tennessee, but they have some online things you can buy. So it is available there. So 3-ounce shot of the blue Houdini from Tennessee Shine Company, otherwise known as the Panty Dropper. 2 ounces of fresh watermelon juice. And I used Tammy's trick is because it's watermelons in seasons. I had some pre-cut watermelon that I let sit in the fridge, and I kind of collected the juice from the bottom. I was a hair short on collecting juice, so then I was squeezing it. And I was so smart that I didn't use the lemon squeezer at first. I was just using my hand. And it like splurted all over me, but that's fine. Anyway, and 5 ounces of limeade. And then you have to make some butterfly pea flower tea. She had said 1 ounce in the video. She had said a teaspoon in the written recipe. I used less than an ounce.
That's a big difference.
I used less than 1 ounce. And there's kind of two ways to make it. You can just sort of make it all purple, or you can make it layered. So I tried the layered way, but I tried to make it in a coupe glass,
Coupe.
Yeah, that. I bought them because they were cute. And I wanted to be more martini-like. So the layers are a little bit more narrow. So what I did was I took the blue Houdini, put that in the bottom of the glass. And I used a little crushed ice just because that helps separate the layers. Then I put the watermelon juice. Then the limeade, which I don't think I said yet, 5 ounces of limeade. I use a little less than 5 ounces to fit in my glass. And then you sort of pour the butterfly pea flower tea over top, and when it hits the citrus from the limeade, it turns more purple. Mm-hmm. So I try to take pictures. I'll send them to you, but this is sort of my layers. I think you can kind of see. Oh, and I'm spilling on my computer.
That means you got to drink some more.
It's pretty good. Like I said, the blue Houdini on its own is really good, but that watermelon does give it a nice, and then of course limeade's just simple, but the watermelon really does give it a little something. It's actually really nice. And I'm making everything blue because I'm spilling. Yay. Okay. So we know with the name what we're talking about. Codeini.
Yes.
All right, Nicole.
Which I am allergic to, so I can never have Sizzurp.
No Sizzurp for you.
Nope.
All right. Let me go through sort of a little bit about this. So it's called Sizzurp, Purple Drank, Lean, Texas
Wait, did you say purple drink? That was the way.
Purple
drank.
Right. You have to help out. You have a little bit of soul in you. You have a little bit of soul in you. I don't.
Oh my goodness. That's only slightly racist, except I'm not offended.
But I love you so much. And I need your,
my little bit of soul.
Your little bit of soul. Also called Mud, Jelly, Perp, and Double Cup. So I've heard mostly Lean, Purple Drank, and Sizzurp. Those would be the ones I've heard, right? So this is something that became popularized from specific rap culture, not all rap culture, but specifically Southern rap culture. And it's a term for a recreational drug that's made, or drink, I guess, made from prescription strength cough syrup, so codeine, with soda, candy, and then mixing in promethazine with it. So promethazine is something also used in cough syrup. So promethazine and codeine are sometimes used together in cough syrup, and then mixing that with candy or soda, typically served in a styrofoam cup. That's just the cool way to have it.
It honestly sounds like something that some drunk teenagers made up.
It pretty much does. But now when I go to buy even regular cough syrup, like Robitussin DM, that one's not behind, but you have to
show ID.
Show that you're an adult. Just that you're an adult, not a kid. So they say that it started in the Houston area, and I'll name some songs. I went and I listened to and looked at some music videos for all of these songs when I was researching the episode. And it's interesting because some of the music videos just kind of glorify it, show it as everyone chilling on the stoop, drinking, partying. Some of them show it as a very, very trippy kind of sounds and colors. And then there are a few songs that are actually trying to show the dangers of it that came out later after some of the famous people had passed away from actually overdosing on it. All right. So 3-6 Mafia, Sippin' on Some Syrup, which is a very early mainstream reference from 2000. I don't know if I know these offhand, but when I heard some of them, I was like, okay, that sounds familiar.
I know 3-6 Mafia, but I can't think of any other songs of theirs that I do know, but I know the name. I'm sure if you played something, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne. I'm sorry.
It's not Little Wayne. Lil Wayne.
Me and My Drank.
Okay.
Which is supposedly a deeply personal depiction of lean use.
Deeply personal.
Yes. Future, Codeine Crazy, which reflects addiction and emotional struggle. ASAP Rocky. That's the one with the $sign for the S. Is that how you say it?
ASAP Rocky.
This is why I need you. I don't know enough about pop culture, I guess.
Don't you know that he's Rihanna's baby daddy?
Yes, I thought I've heard on, maybe I've only read his name and not heard it. Maybe that's
I think
it.
you've only read it.
So Purple
Either way,
Swag.
People know what we're talking about.
Yes. Purple Swag, which is more about Houston culture in general. Juice World, I know I've heard of them, or him, or them.
Go on. Keep talking.
People are going to be laughing at me, aren't they?
Your white is showing. It's showing all over the place.
Lean with a cautionary tale disguised in melodic delivery.
Pretty sure you don't emphasize the T. It's like lean with me.
You got
lean
it.
with me. You're so silly.
I didn't want to say with, so I was trying to emphasize the T. And then there's a couple other ones. Young Thug, 2 Cups Stuffed, Travis Scott, Drugs You Should Try, Mac Miller.
Do you know who Travis Scott is the baby daddy of?
I know his name. I don't know who he's the baby daddy of.
Kylie.
Oh yeah. I kind of know that.
Oh my God. It's like you know nothing.
You know what it is? There's a point where I just dropped off on like celebrity drama and I just like got lost from that world. Mac Miller, I know who he is. The Star Room.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Chief Keef, Love Sosa, Riff Raff, Tiptoe Wing in My Jordans. I'm sorry. I think it's supposed to be like Jordans, but said Jordans. I think JAWWDINZ.
Yes.
I'm gonna laugh at myself in this episode. Whew. It's that panty dropper. That's why
you can't even use that as an excuse.
And then some songs that acknowledge the risk. So Little Peep, The Bright Side. Mac Miller eventually had Mask Off. Danny Brown, Downward Spiral. And there are a couple other celebrities who actually died because of lean use. Juice WRLD, Lil Peep, and Mac Miller. So some big names, actually. So now, of course, you know, they're trying to shift it away from that as a unified group. I think for the most part are trying to step away from that because people have passed. All right. So you're allergic to codeine, but I'm sure you kind of know codeine is classified with the opioids because it is derived from opium.
And isn't it typically used for heart issues?
No, codeine is typically used for cough or pain. Those are the two main uses. So codeine in cough syrup and codeine for pain. It was initially isolated from opium in 1832, so it's been around quite a while, by someone French, Pierre Robiquet. Quet, Robiquet, yes?
Yeah, I'm not going to correct any of your pronunciations today.
And most modern codeine is actually like semi-synthetically derived from morphine, but originally it was taken directly from opium. It's a controlled substance, and globally it's varied, but in the US, the DEA doesn't have it at the like a Schedule 2 where things like oxycodone would be. It's like a Schedule 3, which is one tier below that, similar to Xanax and other things, Tramadol. Those are things that are sort of medium addiction potential, but not the highest. And then promethazine is something that we use for cough, but can also be used for nausea. It was also developed in the mid-20th century, so a little bit newer. And it's been used for allergies, nausea, and sedation. And it's in a class of drugs related to antihistamines. So related to Benadryl, related to compazine, right? We know the same similar word, which we use for nausea. And those drugs have a set of their own risks. They're not controlled, like they're not addictive, but on their own have a set of risks, especially in the young and the elderly. So basically, codeine, the way it works is the codeine itself isn't what gets you high or makes you feel numb or have less pain. It actually is a prodrug that your body then metabolizes, and then the active component works in your body. And it goes on similar receptors to other opioids, the mu opioid receptors. And then the inactive things sort of come out of your body. And it can cause things like euphoria, which is probably what we're trying to achieve here, I assume. Dizziness, sedation, and confusion.
She has to take a sip before she can continue.
And this cup isn't working well for drinking.
Yeah, a coupe glass is more decorative than functional, I would say.
It's not very good for drinking. Like every time I'm spilling on myself. Maybe it's the watermelon little piece I have here is interrupting the flow. I don't know. Let's try that again. Taking that off helped. Okay. Back to business. So when you hear Tylenol number 3, that's Tylenol with codeine. So, like, you've not heard Tylenol number 3? No.
I think because I found out when I was very young that I was allergic to it, that I don't even like look into that genre.
Got it. And so at high doses, it can cause respiratory depression. And some people just genetically are ultra rapid metabolizers, so they don't know that, but they're more at risk. So their body converts it more quickly, but doesn't necessarily eliminate it any more quickly. And those people may not know it and be at more at risk of some of those side effects. And it's considered, like we said, a moderate abuse potential. Similarly, it can have physical dependence, but it's less likely than the other opioids. And of course, an overdose would be like any opioid overdose: respiratory depression, pinpoint pupils, you could become unconscious, bradycardia, so slow heart rate, hypotension, low blood pressure. And then when combined with other things, of course, it could be fatal. Now, you could use Narcan on somebody if you did know that they were having an overdose from this, because it would work for that as well. So, and that's something I guess we haven't really addressed, but that we should, and it's important out there, that you can obtain Narcan without a prescription from basically any pharmacy and keep it at home or in your car or in your purse, and not necessarily.
And that's relatively new, right?
Right. Yeah. Within the past
now more available
few years. And not necessarily for yourself, but if you're ever in a situation where you see somebody who might need it, it's something that you can do safely, and it's not going to hurt them if they're not overdosing, but it will save their life if they are. So that's something people should look into and start to consider, keeping on hand. There's been definitely stories about people who happen to have it and just heard someone outside screaming and then ran out and helped and saved a life. Yeah. So that's something to think about. All right. And then the promethazine, like we said, was part of a typically cough syrup. It works, like we said, similar to antihistamines. But the part of it that's dangerous is those anticholinergic effects. So that's a whole pharmacology lesson we're not going to go into.
Which I learned all about.
But, the big thing we say with anticholinergics is can't see, can't pee. Typically, your pupils can become very dilated, and so your near vision would become very blurry, and you can have things like urinary retention, dry mouth. Those would be all signs of a side effect of it, but they can be more dangerous, like I said, in the young and the elderly, especially risk of falls and things like that, confusion, because it does go across your blood-brain barrier. Not all drugs do that, and so for something that's like an antihistamine, cough syrup, anti-nausea, it's like, it goes across the blood-brain barrier. It can cause a lot. So it's not, I do prescribe promethazine DM, not codeine, with codeine, but for cough on occasion. But I will not give that to some of my elderly patients because of the risk.
Right.
And one of the rare things, so this is something else you're familiar with, extrapyramidal symptoms, or EPS, which we see from a lot of psychiatric drugs, can actually also occur with this because of a way that it antagonizes dopamine. So that's interesting. It's not something that I think of first line is coming from that, because most people aren't chronically using promethazine, but theoretically, if you did, you could develop things along those lines. And, the big issue here, and I guess what they're trying to achieve with combining the two, is those synergistic effects. It enhances, promethazine enhances the CNS, the depressant effect of codeine. So they work together to make you feel more loopy, more tired, more out of it. They would describe it as euphoria and relaxation. And that's where that recreational kind of feel comes from. And, you know, the other issue is when it's combined also with things like Tylenol or other drugs, it could affect your liver as well. Obviously not safe to drive on that combo, especially if you're taking it. I tell anyone who's taking codeine not to drive on it, but if you're taking that combo intentionally to get high, of course you should not be driving on it.
Right.
So, you know, I guess the question is, you know, what do we do about this as far as it being pervasive in culture? You know, right now, the demographic who seem to be the most prevalent is young 13 to 21, under 21 years old, can't obtain alcohol legally. They're influenced by some people they look up to. But they say that it really has crossed some racial and socioeconomic lines. So even though it rooted in that Southern hip hop culture, that I guess other kids, the internet, right, are
Well, I'm just
figuring it out.
smiling because a while ago, and this was a very long time ago, I heard that aside from, you know, the younger generation, the second highest population of using morphine is the elderly, but they're buying it on the streets because it's cheaper than their prescriptions.
Wow.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, that does make sense.
Yeah. Wow. So, you know, I mean, it's just about public education and, you know, monitoring prescriptions. So how does this get to the street, right? Like, how does it get there if you need a prescription legally? So it's most states now, I'm pretty sure all states, but I don't know for sure, have a drug monitoring program where you can look up a patient. So a prescriber or a pharmacist can look up a patient. I have a login for this for New Jersey, and I can see all controlled substances that they have been prescribed and picked up over the past. I can go back a few years, but usually it defaults to probably a year on my screen. Who's prescribed
and isn't
it?
that supposed to like flag for the pharmacies like drug seeking?
Right. So, but you have to actively look. It's not built into at least our system. And I don't know that it is in commercial pharmacies either. So you have to actively go log in, type in the patient's information, look it up, at least in my end. So I do that if I'm going to prescribe something, you know, long term, something maybe short term use. I know my patients, so they're not coming and going. If I was working in urgent care or ER, I'd have to look up probably every single person I consider giving a controlled substance to.
Right.
And it will show you not just who prescribed it, what pharmacy they picked it up, and whether they used their insurance or cash paid, because cash paying is also a flag, because your insurance will be like, you can't get more than one a month, right, of this. But without that, and you go pharmacy shopping, so you go to CVS today, Walgreens tomorrow, the mom and pop pharmacy the next day, to hit different geographic areas, unless somebody actively checks that, theoretically, you could get away with it for a bit. I'm sure that this is probably more like multiple people getting it and then sort of pooling their resources. I'm not really sure how it exactly happens. But
I mean, I don't know if it happens in reality as often, but I know like on a lot of television shows and media, they often have somebody who's making this stuff, who's formulating it for them, whether it's a pharmacist in a pharmacy or, you know, somebody doing it on the side, which I don't know how realistic that is these days, but I'm sure at one point that was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true. I'm sure there's some shady people out there doing it. Yeah, I agree. And a little bit of chemistry and figuring out kind of like Walter White.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, basically cooking it. So, you know, we try to actively regulate access to these things and to educate the population. But I don't know if 13 to 21-year-olds really want to be educated about what's bad for them, basically.
I know I didn't when I was 13 to 21.
I mean, we had, you know, DARE. Do not do drugs.
I'd never had DARE. They started it the year after my school.
I think we had I think we must have had something in 8th grade, I believe. That's what I vaguely remember.
No, I remember in my school, they were starting it in 5th grade and we were in 5th grade and they're like, we're starting it next year. So we didn't get DARE.
Okay. But I mean, I remember taking home like a little paper pamphlet type book with lists of all the drugs, but I think maybe, I don't know, we need to find a way for the famous people, for people that they actually look up to put out social media things and make little, like videos and PSAs and whatever, I think that would reach people more, because I'm sorry, your teacher or the cop down the street coming in to give you a speech probably doesn't get through.
Right. But I think where some of the problems are is those famous people are also falling into that demographic. People are getting famous younger and younger, and then they're more susceptible to this drug use and this addiction and things like that. And hopefully they make it through, and then they can talk about the dangers of it after. But I think a lot of them are just as caught up as, the kids down the street. Maybe even more so because they have access to money. People are probably giving them stuff. I saw over the weekend, I was out and we were eating dinner, and on the TV, they were showing professional skateboarding, and Tony Hawk skated. And I was like, isn't this dude like 50 something? But he still skated, which was cool. But they were interviewing some people in the skateboarding world. And this one kid, he was like, by the time I was 13, I was making millions of dollars and partying every night. And he's like, I'm one of the lucky ones who got out. But so many of us, once we're in that famous culture, it's drugs all the time. And then you're high all the time. And then you go and perform, and then you get hurt, and then you can't skate, and then you lose money, and then you go back to drugs because now you're depressed. And I was like, I think that happens with anyone who's getting famous at that young age.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they're not talking about that, because they don't know it yet. Yeah. They haven't gone through that themselves yet.
Yeah. There's got to be just some other way to help get things through to the younger kids. I don't know. Yeah. But I do think that, like we said, having the Narcan available that's definitely something that I hear more, and young people understanding that. I think like the 20 somethings, I feel like they get it, but I feel like the teens maybe don't quite yet.
Right.
And then, when people can become addicted to this, and they can end up needing real detox, real inpatient care, like behavioral therapy, support groups, long-term rehab, so it's just interesting because it's a complex sort of intersection of like medicine, pharmacology, culture, public health, and it's all sort of intertwined, and very glamorized initially. So hopefully it's a little less glamorized now. We want to keep everybody safe. Yeah. There'll be a ton of resources available in the show notes, and I know some of them actually are resources for addiction. And I guess the overarching thing here is, I guess anything you don't realize maybe that you're glamorizing, take a step back, right? And think about it, because it could really, other people could be hurt by it. I think we all think we're invincible, sort of. Yeah. I'm sure we thought we were invincible when we were young.
Yeah. Now we're old and we know we're not.
Yeah. But we used to think our parents don't know. They're just sticks in the mud. No, they actually did know. Now we're on the other end of that.
I mean, I think your mom and my mom, they were pretty cool for their generation. So they definitely knew.
Yeah. I think that like having that open conversation, though, that's something that, we're entering the teenage years, my oldest, and trying to tell them, like, I'd rather you come to me and tell me the truth, and we will help you. I will pick you up. I will, you know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, you won't be in trouble if you come to me. But if I find out and something bad happens, like, that's a whole different story. But like, call, text, you're in a bad situation, you don't feel comfortable, or you did something stupid, just come tell me. I'd rather find out that way. I think my mom definitely did that, though. She always said, like, if you're ever, someone can't drive or you don't feel safe, call. Always call. So that's basically Purple Drank. I say it's so cool. But definitely follow Tami. I will definitely have her links in all our socials. We will definitely be promoting her throughout the week when this episode comes out. And send us an email if you have an experience with Purple Drank.
Yes, I would love to know. I want to know what it tastes like, because it sounds like it tastes like a bunch of sugar and carbonation with some drugs thrown in. So I think I can imagine what it tastes like, but maybe what the experience was, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, I hate cough syrup. So right there, it's out for me. The taste of cough syrup is the worst thing to me.
Even Dimetapp?
Of all of them, that one passes. But
yeah,
like
the fake grape flavor was
yes,
delicious.
the fake grape flavor is the best one. But all those other ones, oh my God, it's absolutely horrific. I don't think you could add anything to it that would like get that out of my head. So
yeah,
no purple drink for me. Only purple drink is this pretty one.
very nice. Well, it's
You can
bluish,
kind of see
but
the layer. Well, you can see the layers. The top layer
yes,
is purple.
more
The bottom
dark.
is
Yeah,
So that was a quick one for me.
it
So
was.
see, I'm not drowning out. So thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers.
Cheers. That's good. This actually really is tasty.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. And on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.